demons of criticism out! Oh, hi guys, I didn't see you. Today we are going to talk about one of the writer's worst enemies, the inner editor / inner critic, and how to silence it while you're drafting. So what is the inner editor? The inner editor is that nitpicky, mean, hypercritical, cruel voice in the back of your head that tells you while you're trying to write your story that it's already not good enough. Everyone's inner critic manifests in a different way, but they all have one big thing in common. If they scream loud enough, your draft never gets done. I'm going to talk about 5 ways to silence your inner critic while you're writing. Step number 1, change the way you talk about your draft. If the writing community is known for anything, it's certainly not for how much we praise our drafts. In fact, we may go a little bit too far in the opposite direction. I know for my part, I usually am quicker to point out the things that are wrong with my story than I am to say, gee, I think this part of my story is really cool. But if I didn't think there was something cool about this story, I wouldn't have written it in the first place. So the point of step 1 is that rather than focusing on the negative, which we all know we have, we focus on the positive about our draft, which usually is not given the same amount of attention. They say that the story you tell yourself is the story you live. So let's first off stop giving our inner editor more fuel for the fire and start talking more positively about our stories. Step 2, surround yourself with positive affirmations. As you can see, this is my favorite step on this list. I love surrounding myself with any and all things positive and uplifting to remind myself that, yeah, I can do this. I'm a total badass. Visual reminders are a huge way to help us become more positive overall. And the better of an environment our workplace is, the better environment we can then project into our story. And just like having positive verbal affirmations in the way that we talk about our story, having positive visual affirmations can be just as uplifting. Step number 3, get someone else's opinion. There's a saying that goes, sometimes we're so close to a problem, we don't even see the problem clearly anymore. This is as true for writing as anything else. So if you feel like there's a particular part of your story you're just hypercritical of and you're not sure why, try taking it to a beta reader, your critique partner, or even just a trusted fellow writer friend and see what they think of it. There may be some tweaks to make, but chances are it's not as bad as you think it is as the writer, and hearing that from somebody else can help boost your confidence and silence that nasty inner critic. Number 4, identify the concern and remind yourself you will come back to it. Sometimes the inner editor is just a little bit paranoid because you know your draft has something that needs to be fixed and you're afraid that if you don't fix it right now, you will never come back to it or you'll forget what you were going to do when you do come back. The best solution in this case can often be to just leave yourself a note and then come back and fix it when it's time for you to edit that draft, rather than taking time out in the middle of drafting to try and make it perfect. Step number 5, edit. What? Renee, I hear you say, haven't we been talking all this time about how we're not supposed to give in to the inner editor? Why let it win? It would be disingenuous of me not to acknowledge that sometimes the inner editor rears its head because there's something seriously wrong that you do need to fix right now. Have you ever been trucking along through your draft and everything seems to be going well, and then all of a sudden you get to this scene and it's just like someone switched the light off in your head? Now you can't seem to go forward a single step. You went from all the words flowing to none of the words flowing. Well, there has to be a cause for that. Sometimes it can be a character arc derailing, or a plot point not fitting anymore the way you thought it would, or a pivotal emotional scene where the emotional beats just aren't right. And for some writers, this can't wait to be addressed in the second draft. If you do find yourself in a situation where you have pinpointed doubts about a certain element of the story that just isn't working, it can be a good idea and the best way to silence your inner critic to just go ahead and take care of it right now. Then watch the inner editor slink off, satisfied that it has done its work while you continue on with your draft. So I hope that these steps have been helpful. I hope they bring some of you some relief from those darn inner critics of yours. Just so you know, every subscribe and bell ring swats an angry inner critic over the head. As always, thanks for watching my video, guys, and now, if you'll excuse me, I'm back to swatting off the demons.